Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jamie and today we are doing my August wrap up, September and fall TBR. Yes, the moment we have all been waiting for is finally here. It is time for my fall TBR. But before we do that, I do have a bit of an August wrap up, although it's not super long because in the month of August, I was very busy because last week I got married, so I was a bit distracted. Wasn't doing a ton of reading, but I do have a couple books to talk to you about, and actually one that I really am excited to tell you about. I was gonna make a whole video about it, but we'll get there in a minute. So without further ado, we are jumping into my August wrap up. So in August, I did read only 4 novels, but that is because I spent a lot of my time reading an entire manga series, actually one of my favorite manga series of all time, that is XXXHolic. This series actually has 7 omnibus volumes and 4 regular size additional volumes, but I can only hold 3 in my hand, so this stands for the entire series, 7 omnibuses long plus 4 smaller books. Yes, so let's talk about XXXHolic because I feel like I don't get the opportunity to talk about this a lot on my channel, but I love it so much. This is from the publisher Clamp, and I am not going to be surprised if nobody has ever heard of this before because it is a little bit, I mean, it's not like completely underground, but it's definitely not super well known. Like, it's not a One Piece, it's not, you know, Attack on Titan. Like, it is more like just like a lesser known book. But even if you haven't heard of this, you might have heard of Cardcaptor Sakura, and it is from the same publisher. They actually exist in the same world. I've actually never read or watched Cardcaptor Sakura, but I am obsessed with Holic, which is, I'm just going to be shorting it to Holic because apparently in Japanese you're not actually supposed to say this XXX part. It kind of stands for like a blank. Anyway, that's not the point. Holic, this is a fantastic, fun, it's kind of YA, it's kind of a YA series, but I adore it because it gives the ultimate magic, witchy, just cozy vibes, but it also does have kind of like with that tinge of darker elements that I do tend to like. I kind of struggle if things are too sweet, too cozy, and this has just enough darker elements to kind of give me that bittersweet feeling that I really enjoy in a series like this. So what does Holic follow? This follows a young student. His name is Watanuki, and he is kind of struggling in life. He's been orphaned after the death of his parents. He's living on his own, trying to make it in the world, and unfortunately, he is haunted by many a demon and spirit. For some reason, these demons seem to be attracted to him, and he cannot get rid of them. One day, he stumbles upon a mysterious shop run by the time witch Yuki, and she tells him that she can make his demons go away. She offers him a deal that if Watanuki comes and works in her shop, she will protect him from the demons and spirits, and from there, many a hijinks ensue as Watanuki becomes the newest member of this little crazy magical crew. I adore this series so much. I first experienced this series through the anime, which I watched with my best friend, which probably is why it holds a very special place in my heart. But after I watched the anime, I knew I had to read the manga, and this did not disappoint. I loved it so much, pretty much all the way from start to finish. I love how in some of the later volumes, things get kind of darker, more serious. There is a kind of a long plot, but the first ones especially feel a little bit episodic, which is really fun. Basically, as they're working in the shop, Watanuki and Yuki come together to help solve magical problems for the residents of this town, and it's just like the exact coziness that I'm looking for, so I really enjoy that. But then of course I really love that as the series goes on, things progress, there are overarching storylines, and it's just it's so great. The ending, I really loved the ending. It is kind of, I don't know, like it is a little bittersweet, to be honest. It's not exactly like a perfectly happy ending, but it's the kind of thing that I really enjoy, so that is just amazing. And also the art is stunning. Like, every single chapter starts off with these heading drawings, and they are just, the art is really stunning. I absolutely adore the artwork. It is just, the art style is fantastic. The whole thing, it's so magical. It deals a lot with Japanese folklore, which I've been really into lately. So the whole thing is just, it's amazing. I did want to make an entire video on this, but I'll be honest, I didn't do it because these are not the easiest books to get your hands on. I spent the summer collecting all of them, and I did have to spend a pretty penny for, especially the later ones. They are all out of print, but I will say that you can get them online, like in a Kindle version. So if you're interested, definitely do that. Otherwise, the anime is also really amazing. I love the voice acting. I love the music. I love everything with it. But my husband now did say that he felt that the drawings of the people were a little bit weird. So just FYI, they do kind of like this weird stylistic proportion thing. So just FYI going into that. But great series all around. I'm so happy that I actually got to spend the time to read all of these. It completely put me in the mood for fall, and I just felt so cozy, so happy reading my favorite series. The first full-length novel I completed in August was Natural Beauty by Ling Huang, and this is the story of a young Asian girl who gets a job, or she is kind of pulled in to this world of like ultra luxe beauty and skincare. It's a horror novel. There's a lot of books in this kind of vein that have come out recently, and I knew I wanted to pick up one of them. I just didn't know which I wanted to pick up, but this one called to me the most because of its conversation, not just about the beauty industry, not just about Western beauty standards, but specifically how a person of color is responding in real time to that. I also read a book, it's not about the beauty industry, but I also read The Center, and I felt like these two worked really well in conversation with each other. So I really enjoyed The Center as well. So Natural Beauty, I had a good time with this. This is labeled as a horror, but it doesn't get into the body horror until very late in the book. Most of it is not horror at all. It's very literary leaning, and for that I really liked it. I enjoyed following our main character's journey as she is uncovering the kind of dark underbelly of this glittering, beautiful, pristine world. I felt the conversations in this book were really poignant, but I will say it was pretty much exactly what I was expecting it to be. And now that I've read one of these books, I don't really feel the need to read all of the other, I mean, like how many? There's like Youth Juice, the Mona Awad one, Rouge. I'm sure I'm missing, there's a lot right now. But because I have read this one, I don't really feel the need to read those other ones. I felt like this gave me exactly what I was expecting the conversations to be, and I think it did it well. So I had a great time with this. I would give this maybe, I don't know, 3.75, maybe a 4. I really enjoyed the ending. I liked everything about this, and I will definitely pick up more of Ling Huang's work in the future. Next up, I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is a YA murder mystery, and this surprised me, to be honest. I did talk about this at length in my summer reading vlog, reading this YA series. So I've talked about this at length, but just know I did really enjoy this, which is pretty shocking because I don't do YA a lot, really. And I also am kind of hit or miss on murder mysteries. They typically do not, there's just not enough for me. Although, since reading this book, I have been on a bit of a murder mystery hook. So obviously this did something for me. I really had a fun time with this. I thought the pacing was really fun. I thought the way that our main character walks us through the mystery is really fun. There were a couple things that kind of had me like rolling my eyes just because of the YA-ness of it and just the kind of perhaps outlandish elements of some of the plot. But I did have a good time with this, and I would recommend if you are looking for a quick, action-packed, just a fun, light murder mystery. Next up, a read that is pretty out of left field for me. That is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. This is a cozy, sweet, like sugary, sweet, your teeth hurts, so sweet fantasy romance. And well, I totally bought this for the cover, which I think is like so stunning. It's also a witchy story, which I am constantly, endlessly on a journey to find my perfect witchy book. And I don't really read much cozy fantasy. I don't do the cozy very often. I always want to, but it just ends up not being enough substance for me. And typically I do not like the writing style of cozy works. So this was completely impulse that I decided to pick this up. And what I found was that, yeah, I mean, I kind of know my taste pretty well. And so this, it was okay. It was okay for the first like 100 pages. I was really into it, but this book goes on for nearly 400 pages, and I simply just could not take that many pages of it. Like, I feel like if this was a much shorter book, like if this had been 200 pages, I think I would have really, really loved it. But there, especially towards the end, I was really kind of getting over all of it. There was also some plot things that I was just really frustrated because they just didn't make a lot of sense to me, and I felt like there were pretty easy solutions to some of the, like, in my opinion, like plot mistakes, and that was just frustrating for me. The writing was fine, nothing special. The main character, I don't know, I really wasn't, I sound like I didn't like this book, and the fact is I did like it perfectly fine. It's just not really going to be my style. I didn't care for the romance really, and it's just way too sweet, like sickly sweet. That's what I'm saying. I much prefer something like Holic that has a bit of a darker edge, not like a lot, but like it does have real stakes, consequences. It does have some darker elements to it versus this, which is just like completely, I mean, just so sweet. I couldn't even handle it. So yeah, this one was not perfect for me, and I think I'm just gonna pass it on to a home who is going to appreciate it much more than I did. And finally, the last book I read in August, that is Annie Bot by Sierra Greer, and this book has been making its rounds this year. I know a lot of people have loved it and enjoyed it. I was so excited to pick this up. This follows a basically sentient AI robot who is built, designed, sold for sex, and we follow in her perspective as she is kind of navigating this relationship with her owner. And I really love the conversations that are brought up in this book. It really makes you think about consent, about the nature of relationships, and the fact that this girl, this robot, is designed and made to be in a relationship with this man, and it's obviously a toxic relationship. But the interesting part is that she is a robot who is made to be in that position. And this brought up so many interesting conversations that I really enjoyed, especially in the first half. Now, that being said, this wasn't a 5-star for me, and I really wanted it to be, but I felt that the second half did not do as much for me as the first half. I loved what was going on in part 1. In part 2, not so much. I think there's actually 3 parts, but I'm just saying the back half of the book for me didn't land as well as the first half. But I've also heard people say the complete opposite, so I don't really know. I mean, it is a very short book, so I think it is well worth the read simply to experience some of those really thought-provoking elements that were at the forefront of this book. Okay, that was everything that I read in August, and now we are getting into the fall TBR. And because it is a new season, we get to do a new TBR board. But first things first, we have to go through and see how I did in summer 2024. I will say, I don't think I'm going to get very many on this because I know I like totally went off the rails, and especially in August did not read as much as I normally would. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if this is looking a little rough. Okay, here we go. First up, Trust by Hernan Diaz. Well, we are off to a good start because yes, I read that. I really enjoyed it. I read it in July. I don't know. I can't remember when I read it, but I really liked it. This was on my TBR forever, and I'm so happy I finally got to it. When the Reckoning Comes. Yes, I did read this. I read this for Summerween. Sadly, I didn't really like it. That actually was really sad because I had high hopes for that one, but I read it. House of Leaves. No. We'll talk about House of Leaves in a minute. Wellness. No, I'm still like 100 pages into it. I still have it on my Goodreads as I'm currently reading, but I have not picked it up in months, and I gotta get it together. Like, I have to get it together. What's going on with that one? Last Murder at the End of the World. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give myself a check for this because I did start it, but I did DNF it. Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. I was just not into it. I just like did not care. I was bored. I was confused. I was just like, no, this is not, no, it was a DNF. And you know what? I was pretty sad about that because I really did everything I could. I was like, should I try this a different time? Should I do it on audiobook? Like, what should I do about it? But you know what? Life is too short to read books that I just don't care about. So it was a DNF. Toward Eternity by Anton Hurt. No, this is still on my little TBR shelf here. I did not read this. Didn't even start it. Sundial by Catriona Ward. Okay, Sundial is right here. I did actually start this on audiobook. I got about 30% into it and I was enjoying it, honestly. I like Catriona Ward a lot, so I was excited to continue reading from her. I have to soft DNF this though because I didn't end up finishing it before I went away for my wedding, which meant that when I got back from my wedding, which is now, it is September and I have to start working on another book that I will talk about in a minute for one of the book clubs that I'm in, and so that has got to take priority. So this is kind of like on the back burner, but I did start it. Mary by Nat Cassidy, another book that's sitting right here that no, I have not started. But you know what? I really want to read this. I still really want to read this. We are getting into the spooky season, so this would be a good time to read it. I'm just like, no, I didn't read it. I'm sorry. Oh, apparently I had Toward Eternity on here twice, so no. And then What Happened to Ruthie Ramirez? No. I had that. I was just like about to start it, and I did like consider it though. I considered picking it up. So yeah, obviously, like I said, not a good situation. We had three books completed, 2 books started, and a DNF, and then 1, 2, 3 books that I didn't even touch. So not a great summer board, to be honest. Not a great TBR board. Did not get as far as I would have hoped, but it's okay. This is all just for fun anyway. Okay, there we go. We have a brand new fresh board, and now I get to go through some of the books that are on my TBR and we can find out what is going to make it on this board. All right, I've got a stack of books here to go over, so let's talk about what I'm hoping to get to this fall. First up, a book that is absolutely making it on the board, that is Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. This is the book that I mentioned. The reason that I had to stop Sundial is because today, September 1st, I have to start reading this book because this thing it's chunky. It is chunky. How many pages is this? Yeah, okay, 603 pages. So this is going to take me the entire month of September to read, and I do have strong motivation to do it though, because this is the Backlist book club pick for September. That is the book club that myself and Caitlin Bandy from Bandy's Books, we run and host this book club together. It's all about reading the books that we have had sitting on our TBR for so long, the books that we know we should have gotten to, but we just haven't done it yet. And we are finally reading Wolf Hall. I'm so excited for this though, because this is like lauded as one of the best books ever. It kind of sets the standard for historical fiction, and I am just so intrigued by this. This does follow the story of, is it Henry VIII? I think it's Henry VIII. Yes, it is. So it follows Henry VIII through his reign as the King of England, and I love royalty. I love England. I love a well-written novel, so I am very excited to dig into this, but definitely very intimidated. I'm going to start reading this today, so I will tell you how it goes, but oh my gosh, I mean, like, we have a character, a family tree, the Tudors. Oh boy, this is gonna get intense. There we go. Next up, a book I'm very excited for. Well, come on, I'm excited for all of these, but a book that I'm really looking forward to reading. That is Catalina by Carla Cornejo Villavicencio. I apologize if I butchered that a little bit. Catalina, I actually had no idea about this book until it showed up in my Aardvark book box, so I'm happy that Aardvark introduced me to it, because this is a campus novel, and there is nothing I love more than in the month of September to read a good campus novel. This follows our main character, who is a Latin American immigrant, as she journeys through her time at Harvard University, and I don't even need to hear anything else. It's a literary fiction book. It follows a Latin American character. I'm just like, okay, we're done. Let's go. give it to me. It's also very short. It barely cracks 200 pages, so this is just speaking my language. The cover is like stunning. Like, yes, I am so excited to read this. This came in my box and I'm like, I'm about to crack that spine right now. I am digging into this immediately. And then a book that I have been specifically saving for the month of September, so I would really love to make that happen. That is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. This is book 2 to the Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies series. Book 2, yeah, Emily Wilde series. I really enjoyed book 1 when I read it earlier this year. I read it in like February, so in the winter, and book 1 is definitely a winter book. It's winter everywhere in that book. It's cold, it is isolated, it's very much winter. This one, adore this cover so much. This one, I think, takes place in the fall, so that's why I have been saving it like literally all year. A lot of people have said that this one is better, or at least just as good as the first one, so I'm excited by that. Like I said though, I have been reading like a lot of cozy books recently, and so I don't know if I'm like yet in the mood for this, but I do hope to get to it into September, assuming of course that I can get through Wolf Hall in a reasonable amount of time. That would be basically the only thing that would stop me from starting this book in September, is if I can get through Wolf Hall. Okay, there we go. We have 3 that are like pretty safe, like this is gonna happen in September. Yeah, let's see. I have a lot of books here that are actually going to be more like October, November, but that's why it's the fall TBR board. We're going for 3 months at a time, and I don't know where these are going to fall, but let's start talking about those. Yeah, September seems pretty light just because of Wolf Hall being so long, but of course, if any of that ends up finishing earlier, I can just kind of move these things up. A horror book now that I have been really interested in reading this year, and I still haven't gotten around to it, that is The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. This book has been making its round in the horror community. I think pretty much everyone that's read it has really, really enjoyed it. I am very interested in the kind of literary elements of this as well. It follows a Korean woman who is kind of on a path of descent for some reason. To be honest, I don't know that much about it. All I know is that it's kind of a female rage murder book, which has been really popular. A Korean woman, and also I think this is a campus novel as well. This says Crying in H Mart meets My Sister the Serial Killer in this feminist psychological horror about the making of a serial killer from the Korean American perspective. I mean, that sounds fantastic. And actually, because this says that this is a campus novel, I am going to push it up earlier. Hopefully I can get to this in September. Okay, moving into some books that I have been really saving for the fall. First up, another campus novel, the campus novel, that is Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is the end-all be-all dark academia book, and I have still yet to read it. It's also 600 pages though, so I don't really know how this is going to work. I don't know what I'm going to do to get this done, but I would like to at least start it this year and just we'll hope for the best. Then we have Slewfoot, A Tale of Bewitchery by Brahm. This is what a lot of people in the booktube community have said is their favorite witchy book, and I am desperately, desperately searching for the best witchy book. So I think this will be one that I read in October. I've had this on my TBR for a while. It also does not seem like it's going to be a long read, so I think this is absolutely doable in October. So already on my TBR, we have the ultimate dark academia book, the ultimate witchy book, and of course, we also have the ultimate haunted house book. That is House of Leaves by Mark D. Danielewski. Oh my gosh, yet another massive, massive book. This one is also 600 pages. No, this one is actually 650 pages. So yeah, and it's kind of hard for me to tell exactly how long because there's a lot of blank pages and then there's a lot of pages that are like, it looks like a textbook. So this is another one that is like, it's been on my TBR for so long. I'm desperate to read it, but oh my God, I am so intimidated by it. I don't know what to make of it. I'm like afraid, like what do I do with it? Like it's crazy. It's crazy. But I want to be in the know. I want to understand the way that people talk about this book. I want to be a part of the cult of this book. And I'm scared that it won't even live up to my expectations at this point, but like, I've got to try, right? I've got to try. House of Leaves is my big challenge for October. Of course, it was on my summer TBR board, and really mainly the idea of that was that I thought, maybe I could start it in summer and maybe that would kind of take some pressure off of the month of October, but that didn't happen. And now House of Leaves is going to be perhaps maybe one of the only books that I read in October, along with Slowfoot. But yeah, it's thick. It literally looks like a textbook. I'm excited though. And then I did pull just a couple other options. So one of my goals this year was to read one classic per quarter, and I did not hit that. But if I read a classic in September and then one more by the end of the year, I think I will have gotten 3 out of 4. I don't think I read any in Q2, but one of the books that is very high on my list, that is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. This cover is absolutely hideous, but the reason I got this one is because I got it from my library sale, and it's also an abridged version that only comes in at like $393, opposed to the full length edition, which is like, I don't even know, some crazy number of pages. So this is the abridged version, and it seems like much more manageable. And I know that a lot of people really, really love this book. One of my best friends, this is like his favorite book. So I'm definitely interested in reading it. I have attempted to read it once before. It was a long time ago. It's probably in high school. So I really am coming to this with a blank slate, but I have heard that it's absolutely fantastic. So I'm thinking if I read the abridged version, then maybe one day when I inevitably want to reread it after I love it so much, I can read the full length version. So this is kind of on my list for September, again, totally depending on how I do with Wolf Hall. The other classic that would be my Q4 classic, I'm kind of thinking, and this is what I have been thinking the whole year, is that I want that to be Wuthering Heights, a book that I have never read, never attempted to read, but I am super interested in, also intimidated by. I think I might try to do this on audio, which would be really great because obviously reading it physically with the TBR I currently have does not seem possible, but Wuthering Heights is definitely on my list to at least try in 2024. Ooh, that board is looking pretty full, but we do have just a few more spots. Okay, the last book that I have here, this is another one of my goals. It was to read at least 2 nonfictions per quarter, and I was doing really, really strong with that in the first half of the year. I think I might have dropped off, but another book that I found at my library book sale was When You Are Engulfed in Flames by David Sedaris. And first of all, I was just completely drawn in by this cover. I was like, wow, this is so fun and I love it so much. And also I am a huge fan of David Sedaris. I have read, I think 2 of his books previously, at least 1, but maybe even 2. And I have been told that this one is the best one. And like, I just love the cover. So I think this would be a really great read for kind of this end of Q3 or Q4 to hit my goal. I still don't know if I'm gonna end up actually making it my goal. I guess we'll have to see at the end of the year, but it would be nice to get at least 1 more nonfiction in. And you know what? Just because I have it sitting right here, I may as well go ahead and throw Mary: An Awakening of Terror back on the TBR board. Very tragic that I did not get to this during Summerween, but I mean, it would be a really great read for maybe a 24-hour readathon or something. I haven't done a 24-hour readathon in a long time, like basically since this time last year. So I am itching to do one, and I have a lot of horror here. So I'm like really itching to do a 24-hour horror-a-thon, which I know that Ashley from Ashley's Little Library actually does host these quarterly 24-hour horror-a-thons. So and I know that with it being the Halloween season, I know that there are going to be so many readathons. So I'm going to try to join one, try to find a 24-hour readathon, and I would love to read this book during that time. So, hey, let me know. Are you participating in any Halloween, October, spooky season themed readathons? Let me know if there is one that you think I should join. Well, there you have it. That is my fall TBR board. I am so excited for every single one of these books on this list. I mean, fall is just my favorite time of year. It's all of BookTube's favorite time of year for very, very good reason. The books that we get to read during fall, ooh, amazing. And I could not be more excited. Oh my gosh, I just realized. I didn't even put them on the board, but I did have 2 pre-orders. I have to tell you about these now. Obviously, September pre-order, that is Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. That is an absolute must-read, so it will actually take precedent over most of these books. And then I also did order another book that just seems so perfect for the Halloween season. That is called A Far Darker Magic? Not a darker shade of magic. That is the V.E. Schwab one. No. This one, A Darker Magic, something like that. I am so interested in this cover. I saw it in a recent Book Page magazine, and it looks so cute. It comes out in October, so I already pre-ordered it, so that is also on my list as well. Those were important to mention. But yes, this fall TBR board, I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to dig into all of them. I am completely in fall mode now. I'm going to go decorate my house. I already brought out the little fall pillow and the fall candle for you right now, but I have the rest of my house to decorate and I'm so excited about it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let me know down in the comments below, what are you reading this fall, and have you read any of the books that I have mentioned here today? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, week, month, year, and fall, and I will see you back here next time. Thanks so much. Bye.